This is our process mining software, Disco. Disco stands for discovery. We are going to discover the actual process from the data from the IT systems. The first thing we do is we open the file. So you can import a CSV or an Excel sheet, for example. And what we see now in the first step is the import screen, where we can indicate the meaning of the different columns. And basically what we are doing here is taking a process view on the data by indicating what's our case ID, our activity name, and our timestamp. So for each column, you can select the column, and then on the top, you can indicate what the meaning of the column is. So here we have configured the case ID column as the case. The activity name is configured as the activity, and then the timestamps are automatically configured as a timestamp. We also have some additional attributes, like for example, the role information is just an additional attribute that we import and have available for the analysis. Now, once we have created the right mapping, the right perspective on the data by configuring case ID, activity name, and timestamp, we can import the data. And what you will see now is that without having a process map or any model of the process, we can automatically reconstruct the actual process that took place. So here you see how the process looks like, and I'll explain to you how you can read this process map. So the starting point of the process is this little triangle at the top here. And we can see that there are 608 purchase orders in our case that are in the data that we imported. In this case, all of the 608 cases started with the step create purchase requisition. That's the first step in the process. Afterwards, the process splits into two alternative paths. 374 times you're going this way, 234 times you're going this way. So the numbers, the thickness of the arrows, the coloring, all reflect the frequency of how frequently certain parts of the process were performed. Now, immediately we can see one big problem here in this process, which is a very dominant rework loop around an activity called amend request for quotation. Now, this is a step that should only be performed in rare instances because an existing request is amended, it's changed. But what we can see is that it's not an exception at all. It happens more than 500 times for just 608 cases. So that's an enormous waste that's going on here. And this kind of rework or ping pong behavior in the process, it's a very good example of the things that you can find out with process mining and you can really make visible by showing the actual process based on the data. Once you start looking at the process based on data, you will get to a very detailed level of the process because you will see every little exception and everything that happens. And it can become very complex very quickly just because reality really is rather complicated. So you need to have ways to deal with that complexity. And fortunately, process mining provides you with methods to do that. There are different strategies in the process mining methodology, how to simplify, how to divide up data sets, how to focus on specific aspects. But one quick way to do that is through those sliders here that you can see on the right-hand side. I'll show you how they work based on the activity sliders first. So I'll pull down the activity slider to the lowest point. And what you will see now is the main flow of the process, just the activities that are contained in the most frequent variant of the process. And we can then gradually bring in more detail to reveal more activities that are less frequently performed by pulling up the slider more and more, up to 100%. In which case we see all of the steps that were ever recorded in the system. Like for example, this one here at the top left, amend purchase requisition. This just occurred 11 times in total, so it's one of the last activities that just came in. At the same time, some of you will have noticed we are still not seeing the full process. It's still a simplified view that we are seeing here because if you start counting the frequency numbers, then you see that 11 times we are coming in here to amend purchase requisition and 8 times we are going out that way, but there's still 3 missing, right? Well, this is because although we see all the steps that are performed, we only see the most important flows through the process in the simplified version. However, we can pull up the path slider to 100% to now really see every step that was performed in the process and all the transitions between those different activities. For example, here we can see the 3 times that we are going this way in the process, and this path was hidden before in the more simplified version.